Time is now 1:30. The regular meeting of the City Planning and Zoning Board will come to order, and it is September the 18th, and in the council chambers. We'll start off with preliminary matters, agenda additions or deletions. Anything from the board?
Staff
Tim?
has none, Mr. Chairman.
Staff has none. We have 2 minutes for approval of this meeting from our August 7th meeting. We'll do them separately, and the second one will be from the August 21st meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review their minutes from the 7th meeting?
Yes.
We'll have a motion for acceptance. Any modifications?
Modification, please, on page 22. There's a reference to a Mr. Manus. We'd like to make that a Mrs. Manus.
I don't know if that's necessary, but we'll go along with it. Any additional modifications?
None from me.
Do I have a recommendation for approval?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It passes 5 now to 0. Is that right, Mark?
Yes.
Okay. The second meeting minutes are from August 21st. Everybody had a chance to review those?
Yes.
Any modifications to those minutes?
None.
Hearing none, I'm looking for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have moved in a second. Call for a vote, please. All in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
No negatives. Okay. Next part of our meeting is public comment. And is anybody from the public would like to come forward to speak? Please come forward now on any issues that you'd like to bring before this board. If you have a particular matter, I would give you the choice then to come when your particular matter comes up if you'd like to speak at that time. Seeing nobody from the public is coming forward, I will close the open and close the public hearing. And public comment, forgive me. We now have a public hearing, which is quasi-judicial, and at that point in time, we'll have everybody sworn in. Is that right? Read the tape. Okay, I got that one. The site plan application to allow the proposed construction of a 1,355 square foot bank with drive-in facilities, number SP1400004. Location of that is 2624 Airport Drive. And, is there any disclosure from the city council members in ex parte communications, if any, with this applicant?
I don't have any particular ex parte communication, but I drive past this road perhaps daily. I'm very familiar with that site.
I'm also familiar with the site, so. Anybody else? Seeing nothing else, now the swearing in. Anybody who's going to speak?
If you're going to testify, if you would just please stand and raise your right hand.
Or you expect to?
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
I think we can proceed with the staff's
Just one more thing. If you all have any exhibits, which I saw that you do, you'll need to leave them with the clerk's office during the appeal period, which is 30 days. So when you're finished, if you could just leave them with Sherry.
That's assuming they're going to present the exhibits.
Yes. Yeah, if you don't use them, you don't have to. Tim, do you want to proceed with the staff?
Sherry
Station?
Fitzgerald, staff, is going to be.
Oh, Sherry, okay.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, board members. As you mentioned, this project, as described in our staff report, is a proposed project that includes a 1,355 square foot bank with drive-through facilities. The location is 2625 Airport Drive, which is the southwest corner of Aviation Boulevard and Airport Drive. The property owner is the city of Vero Beach, and it's actually an airport property. The applicant is Acalina Bank. The current zoning there is airport light industrial, and the future land use is commercial. There was an existing use on the site. There was a 9,357 square feet vacant restaurant that was recently demolished in order to prepare for the new development of the site. The area of development is 1.32 acres. The surrounding zoning is all airport light industrial. The surrounding existing land uses are all commercial slash recreation industrial. They're surrounding the sports center. The site plan evaluation was fairly straightforward with this project. We reviewed the section of the code that requires all site plans to meet general performance and development standards. The staff finds that the proposed project meets all these standards. In particular, we looked at two of the most relevant project performance standards, which included proposed use, design, and layout of the development. And the specific analysis we outlined in our staff report, and I'll review very briefly. The site plan's compliance with all development regulations was reviewed by Planning and Development, Public Works, Water and Sewer, Electric departments, and other departments, including the fire department. We also had the airport staff review the project, in addition to others. The attachment A in your staff report provides detailed information on how the project meets our development regulations. The proposed site plan meets all height, open space, setback, parking, and stormwater management regulations. Staff finds that the site plan is in compliance with all the pertinent provisions of the land development regulations. An additional analysis that was performed by the staff included the site design performance standards, and the proposed use is a complementary use to the existing commercial uses near the airport and near that intersection. In addition, the proposed layout of the driveway and parking meet the land development code requirements. And as a note, the proposed project will eliminate 3 existing driveway connections along Airport Drive and Dodger Road. And also, as a note, the level of traffic generated by the proposed bank is expected to be less than the former restaurant based on the approved traffic impact statement. The staff finds the proposed site plan is compliant with the performance standards of Section 6410B of the code. Based on the findings outlined in the staff report, the staff recommends approval of the site plan application subject to very general conditions that are outlined in your staff report. And with that, I'll entertain any questions that you may have. We also have the applicant and their representatives are here if you have any questions.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. I do have a question about the bank and the generation of trips.
Yes.
I was under the impression that a drive-through bank generated more. That was a very high use with trips.
Yes, it is, but the restaurant actually created more trips than the drive-through bank, and I can give you those numbers specifically. But
The restaurant was a lot bigger, so that's why
Yeah,
it probably
yeah.
came out.
For example, the net change in trips that's referenced in the traffic impact statement for concurrency purposes was a reduction of 572 trips.
Okay. Good.
But a bank with drive-through facilities does generate about 123 trips. So it is a traffic generator. It just happens to be, in this case, the size of the restaurant that was there before created more trips.
There is so much traffic on that road, bike traffic in particular, from I think a lot of people from flight safety. And I can see this being a very good, local use right there.
Yes, there are also bike rack facilities that are part of the site plan.
Okay, just a question on the ingress and egress. Is it all going to be on Airport Drive? That's going to be one entry there?
That is correct. And I can work clearly, if you don't mind.
I was having trouble. I'm looking at the...
The access or the entry and exit will be along here, right in here on Airport Drive on the east side.
Okay. The way I see the traffic moving in through there, it's going to have right and left turn lanes, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I had trouble seeing that. Okay.
I do also want to show you the elevation, a picture of the elevations of the proposed bank. That's north and south, if I can read from here, and then the east and west. That's also provided in your package, by the way, but for the audience.
Okay.
Additional questions by the board members?
Just on the general notes on the elevation map, there was a number 7 noted about drive-through ATM is not shown for clarity. Does that ATM get included in the calculation for concurrency?
Yes, it does. Yes.
I just have a quick question.
Yes.
Is there the landscape plans missing?
Yes, no, the landscape plan is here. Let's see, I have a copy of it here if you want to look at it.
I just saw that there's they went above and beyond.
Yes.
Yeah.
A nice.
Yes, they did.
Nice addition.
And we also have, the applicant has renderings of the actual site, and if he wants to show that to you, you can see that they've gone above and beyond, and they have a lot of green space, and so the site should be really, really attractive. So, and
Yeah, it's
I have
very
a copy
positive.
of the actual landscape
positive.
plan here.
Okay. Thanks.
Mr.
We didn't
Chairman.
we didn't get a copy of that, but that's all right. But we have the,
Have the calculation.
Yes,
we have the list.
you have the calculations,
Yeah.
and
So
I apologize, I should have
That's
included.
okay, no.
The one reason why I didn't is, to be honest with you, with the PDF, it was hard to read because, as you can see, there's quite a bit of, if I can hold it up, quite a bit of landscaping, and so when we tried to do the PDF, it just was off. It was just like
You lose it.
very lost in space. But anyway.
That's good.
you also
It's
saved the
very
tree.
impressive.
So.
Yeah. And the canopy trees and.
Robin, additional questions?
None from me.
Any other additional questions? I'm fine.
Is Eric going to be making a presentation here? Not at all?
No?
Okay.
Does the applicant have anything they'd like to come forward? Is that the end, Sherry?
Yes.
Okay, then
Unless
we'll
you
move
have
on
any
to the
more
applicant.
questions.
Does the applicant like to?
No, we agree with staff's recommendation.
I'm sure you would. I actually agree with the staff's recommendations also. So don't think we're going too far off a track here. All right.
I do have one question.
Sure.
Where is this road on the MPO's capital improvement projects? Do we have
That's
any?
at Aviation Boulevard. That's a bone of contention between us and the county. We're trying to work that out. Concerns we have that we did have financing, or we had some project funds to go to 4 lanes, and it was taken out of the transportation improvements program several years ago, and we had some discussions again with them because the long range plan shows that as 4 lanes, but then the next segment when you get past 43rd Avenue shows that as going to 4 lanes, and that's as an improvement in the long range plan, but
And
it
a
doesn't show
sidewalk,
how the
right?
4 lanes, so we're going to discuss that further with the county, and we've been discussing that with some other issues involved with that.
Okay. Okay.
So, but that's a good question. We have all the design work's been done. We just need to get
We
it
reached
programmed.
yeah, because that's
Yeah.
going to build up there.
When that discussion is up, Tim, will we ever talk about the 20th Avenue and the connection of that? Is that? I know it's a steamy issue, and I know, but somebody.
wait 2 years, Mr.
Just
Chairman.
one moment now. Because one of the things you get to do when you get upset up here is you get to talk just a little bit sometimes. I have to drive around those extra stop signs every time, and a lot of the people that live near me do that also. And this was an old issue that should have been buried and dead a long time ago. If we just opened that up and put it through, it would make a lot of traffic
Then you
improvements
get
for
the
everybody.
McCanish Park people
I don't know that that's true. If they were me and they wanted to use that road,
Well, I know that.
I go through those extra stop signs.
I'm not
all the
saying
time.
it's a dead issue, but that's been in the past. It's been something we. Yeah, it's been
I
pretty-
know it's a political issue, but it's okay.
Those people aren't on city council anymore. This
That's why we can talk about it.
the four-laning of aviation. There's enough right-of-way left on this.
I believe most of the
sideline.
right-of-way is available. On this property, there's a little, if you see out in the northeast corner, there's a little clip they have to do, and that's for a sidewalk in the future.
Yeah.
But
That's
other than
not-
that, I believe there's
It's not
the
on this
right-of-way.
site plan, though, is it?
I believe the entire part in the city. Well, wait a minute, Eric may have some more information.
I thought you weren't coming up, Eric.
I'm glad I raised my hand when I did, just in case. Eric Menger, the director of the airport. In reference to Ms. Manu's question, we actually have right now a project underway, and it's currently about a little over 60% in design for Airport Drive renovations, which is going to include a traffic light at that intersection, regardless of whether or not Aviation Boulevard, happens in the next year or two. We will have a light there, which I think is what you're getting at. In case there's any additional traffic with bicycles and whatnot, there will be walkway, bike paths, and a light at that intersection.
That's nice.
So that's coming.
Good.
Okay,
There is
that's
people who
good
use
to-
that for
yeah.
biking. A lot of biking people on that
there
road.
is.
When you're driving there, you have to be cautious.
But it doesn't look like there might not be enough stacking room between the light and the driveway. In other words, once three people leave the bank, it's jammed up, isn't it?
Well, they'll have to go left.
Well,
I suppose that could be true with a stop sign as well.
Mark, I didn't understand that. What you said there.
Well, it looks like their access egress is pretty close to the intersection.
now, what he's saying, if you get a backup from that intersection, people trying to get out of the bank
I
and make
see.
that left
Okay.
will have a hard time. You have cars pile. I assume that's just what he was saying. That would be looked at, would be my guess.
They could go the other way and maybe go through McCanch Park.
I think you can get 6. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's a stop. If that's a stop bar, that's good enough.
Any additional discussion?
February.
Well, since this is city property, I assume that there's a financial lease arrangement with the users, and that is a particular period of time.
Yes, there is. We worked long and hard on that lease.
I figured. And for what period of time is it?
Check.
Usually 30.
30 years.
It's a land lease.
Land lease?
It began February 1st, 2014, and it terminates January 31st, 2045, and then it has an option to renew of 10 years at the conclusion of the initial term.
Very good.
It's been approved by the FAA, the Airport Commission, the City Council, and blessed by my office, so it is good to go.
That is progress.
Once you got past your office, it was okay. We knew that, right?
That's big.
So you did all that work before you even asked us if it was possible to do it, right?
And the site plan that's in front of you does follow the lease language as well.
That's what I was curious about, yes. Thank you.
Any additional comments or questions? Call for the question.
So moved.
Move staff's motion.
Approval. Second.
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 Do you want to close the public hearing?
Pardon me?
You want to close
I'll
the
close
public
the public hearing. Should I do that? Yes, I'll close the public hearing. Forgive me. Now we have a first and a second. Is that all right?
Yeah. I'm first, I'm second.
Yes.
Mr. Mucher?
Yes.
Mrs. Minus?
Yes.
Mr. Croteau?
Yes.
Mr. Lawfer?
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We're looking forward to seeing your bank
Yes,
there.
much good luck with it.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good to see you again, young man. Thanks for your Okay.
He's the one with the board.
Oh, we had a check once. Like that.
I was going to ask how much.
There's no money transfer.
Yeah, right. That's a lease payment, right? You're talking about a lease
We didn't
payment.
even know about it up here. We didn't know about the money. We didn't
I know about the money. I
you know.
was going to ask how much, but I
He's
figured.
going to be one of our best tenants. He's paying his lease up front for the entire 30 years.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
not
my
one of those
goodness.
$1 a year deal, is it?
No,
though?
with no refund. No, it's not.
So no refund.
Are you serious?
We didn't want to put any pressure
I've
on
never
you, so
heard
that
that.
No,
Would have
Not
turned it
part
down.
of the
It
site
definitely
plan
went to city
review
council,
requirements.
right?
Well,
You should have seen us going through trying to work that into our model. You know, and change is not real easy in this building. So we really had a challenge to ourselves. But he was ready to hand us a check. Of course, it goes through his bank, so hopefully it'll clear.
That's
We'll
interesting.
move on now.
That's impressive.
They didn't want an escalator clause in the lease, huh?
The next thing we have is planning department matters. Tim, you're up.
I have a couple items to go over
Okay.
with you. We have an exciting agenda. On our October 2nd, we're going to have a public hearing at your next with medical marijuana
All
dispensary.
right.
Here?
And the council's asked us to move forward rapidly to do this so we can have this in some sort of ordinance in place should the amendment pass before the voters.
Okay.
And we've got it already. We're going to advertise it, and we're still working on. We got a draft, but I worked with the attorneys and the police chief to come up with a draft ordinance for you. So that'll be on October 2nd.
Forgive my naivety, but that's coming before the planning and zoning board?
Yes, it's a land development
It's
regulation, so you
locational.
will see it.
Where's it going to be sold? Yeah.
It's a use, right?
It's a
Yeah,
use-
and we're treating
it's the
it.
business aspect of it, selling it or in this. Okay, I was thinking about well, we haven't voted for it officially to be legalized yet,
but-
so
But if it-
but
that was
if it-
my point. I
what
thought we
if-
were going to discuss that end of it.
But on advice from other attorneys, including our
own?
law firm that's representing us in the Carroll case, they've been working with other municipalities for other municipalities. They say the best thing is to move forward with something. You're better off having something in place.
Oh, yeah.
We can always
I
come
did hear
back
that
and do
part.
Makes
changes.
sense.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's been kind of the
you can be
the history.
grandfathered in to some degree at that point in time.
Yeah, the state may preempt us on things. They may put things in, but it's better to have something that we can
Right.
deal with, and it sends a message out to people wanting to put these in your community. You know, this is what we
Try
expect.
someplace.
Yes.
May
Makes
want-
sense.
Maybe.
Well, it goes back to the short-term rental deal. doesn't
Well, I think our
it? If we
short-term-
would have had something
More concrete
up front
place.
before that passed.
No, I think it was pretty clear in the thing. You're right. It'd been nice to have specific language, but I think the language is fairly clear in our ordinance,
Was this
and I
gonna-
still stick with it.
Would this
No, it's
fall
like
under
a-
our home rule powers?
Yes,
Yes.
this is under home rule powers.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
like when the pill mills were going for
Right.
the.
But unlike the pill mills, which we addressed mostly through, well, other than police action, was through the business tax and affidavits, we're doing this through
Land use.
land use. And other communities have done it with doing both.
Will the public be notified in this public hearing?
Yes, we have an
so we
advertisement.
might expect some people to come and comment on it.
Yes, we are advertising.
And then
And-
there'll be a first reading and 2 public hearings at
Yes.
the council level, culminating in the last public hearing, if it all works out right, on November 4th, which is Election Day. So it doesn't get any better than that.
Oh.
So it's a
I-
daytime
Well done.
meeting? It's a 1:30 meeting? It's not a night meeting, right?
The one on the 4th, it's a morning meeting, 9:30, yeah.
Okay.
So on Wednesday the 5th, we can say, all right, forget about it. Or
That's
you're in.
If it doesn't pass, if the amendment doesn't pass, then
We'll have it on the books if the amendment passes.
It might be, I don't know if the 4th, I'm trying to think, Peggy, most likely it won't be till the second meeting in November. We got to have a 5 p.m. meeting, and I don't know if we can meet we'll have a first reading of the ordinance. Yeah, looking at it, probably won't be till the second meeting.
Okay.
The first hearing would be at least.
Well, then it wouldn't be grandfathered, would it? Wouldn't that defeat
it'd be a
the
zoning
purpose?
in progress.
Oh, yeah.
And remember, the amendment's passing after the amendment goes. It's just like the Charlotte's Web, the low THC. You have to go through statute. Well, they already have statutes, but they're going through regulations now, and that's
Right.
being held up. This will have to go through statute making and regulations.
So far, the Department of Health has 6 months, if it passes,
Yes.
in order to come up with regulations.
And
So we still have that
Yeah.
print.
And any of those regulations could potentially change what we're putting into place. But from what we've heard, it's better to go forward. And
That's
I
right.
agree with the chief. I like the idea of sending a message to the people
Yeah.
who are out there. And perhaps there might be people already buying property And we want to let them know that we're looking at these areas, these locations where we're not going to allow this to be in place. So
I
it's a
haven't
good
seen the wording of the amendment yet, and I imagine we will before the meeting where we discuss it.
I will.
But,
It'll
it'd
be
be
in
good
the
to
backup.
understand
I'll put it back.
what's involved. If it's purely medical, or if any stoner can get it. That makes a big
Well,
difference.
that's the issue with
That's
that
the
amendment.
issue.
There's any other reasons that a medical doctor, I mean, it is pretty open-ended. So it opens it itself to unscrupulous doctors or anybody, so that's what the concern is. And same thing, I pulled a study that in California they did back in 2009. They've got experience with it, showing all the problems where you had people coming off the streets getting it, children even getting it. So we're putting a lot of regulations in. We pulled from different places and advice on what to do on that.
I don't know whether the rest of the board had heard this or not, but I know one of the items of the discussion is no drive-throughs.
We
Yes.
had discussed that.
And the idea is that was brought up, no drive-through. You don't want to have any loitering around these buildings. That causes some real issues, particularly security and that. Yeah, so you'll see we have a whole series of things that we're working on in there based on the direction from the council. We'd like to make sure that the citizens and neighborhoods are protected.
Be an interesting meeting.
It should be an interesting meeting.
As far as I know, the board hasn't seen anything ahead of that meeting. Will we have information ahead of us so we can be a little more prepared for what we're going to discuss?
We will prepare
our normal packet will
a
be
staff
there ahead of
report.
time
We'll
and-
have backup information
Okay.
for you to that.
Because I'm
to
not
help you in
really,
that.
I'm not real in tune to what that's about yet.
Yeah,
so-
we're really eager for you all to look at the ordinance that we've drafted and see what you think.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are a lot of we've looked at a lot of ordinances around the state and around the country, so we've.
Are we allowed to talk to you not as a board, but are we allowed to talk to you individually about if we get some?
sure.
So we can,
Yes, please feel
Have
free
some-
to call.
Call.
You can
Individual
talk
discussions
to
with y'all.
Peggy or me on this thing. It's no problem at
I
all.
think that'd be helpful to us.
Yeah, I've always been concerned that if it's medical, then it would require a prescription from a doctor, and then the only way you could get it would be through a pharmacy. Why are we going beyond that?
Well, because they're setting up medical dispensaries.
Okay.
That's
Does the
like
amendment say to do that?
Yeah, you'll see.
part of the
Okay.
amendment.
All right. I'm just.
Yeah. No, that's.
Yeah, we're.
I'd like a
And I think
sausage and mushroom
Me too.
pizza.
I'm
and a
ready.
Well, I
nickel
think
bag.
part of the issue is here. A lot of the pharmacies have a lot of other things going on, and they're trying to segregate this use from, be a sole purpose use for marijuana, rather than I'm just, we're still looking
stores
at all
and-
this. But
I understand.
As I said, as Peggy pointed out, we've looked at California. I've got Boulder, Colorado's. What they've done is they have recreational marijuana too. So we're looking at
So does Washington State.
Yeah.
and Washington State, half of Washington State,
And Washington D.C.
because it's
probably,
still against the federal law.
fairly soon.
All right. Anyway,
have
so
to be
that should be
experts.
real. We've got a lot of work to do, but it should be a very interesting public hearing.
I'm sorry
Oh,
to
yeah,
ask you
sounds
one more
like fun.
time. So
Sure.
that's a morning meeting? I'm just trying to schedule a.
No, this would be
That'll be
1:30.
1:30
before you all.
meeting, right?
1:30.
Oh, before.
PNC meeting. He was talking about the.
Are you talking
Right.
about the planning and
Council
zoning
meeting.
board meeting?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
normal planning
Yeah, I
and
wondered why
zoning
you
board.
City council.
That would
City
be
council will be,
Yeah.
well,
Gotcha.
it'll be 3 first reading and 2 public hearings,
Yeah.
so it'll be
3.
over time.
Gotcha.
Meanwhile, we have to get something to the city council so they can have their readings, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you
We
can.
might be on sort of a parallel track at this
Yeah,
point.
sounds like
but
it.
we're getting
No
there.
track.
Parallel
Why
track.
have a parallel track if you need one track to get that
Yeah.
one?
Okay.
We go talking
All
about
right. Any other questions on that?
Sounds like fun.
Tomorrow morning at 9, we're having oral arguments on our appeal, the Carroll vacation rental. I'll be at that. It's only 10 minutes each side, so it'll be over very quickly.
Where is
Yeah,
that
time-
occurring at?
It'll be
That's
down St. Lucie Courthouse.
That's at 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock. So it'll be over quickly, and the 3-judge panel will. All right, they'll render a decision at some point in time. So
You're not ready to ask tomorrow, but
I don't think
Probably
so.
not.
oh wait.
Yeah. Is it the
Yeah.
is it the
They
federal
accepted
courthouse?
the,
Pardon?
Where is it? The federal courthouse?
No,
No.
it's at St. Lucie County Courthouse. They alternate the locations for these type of appeals
Oh, okay.
between the
Those are-
different counties
Because in the
in their
circuit.
district. Yeah.
Okay.
the
there was
appellate
an
district.
amicus brief submitted and accepted by the IRNA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they won't be speaking. With 10 minutes, so I've gone over with the attorneys. It's got to be very concise.
Precise.
We went over
Quick.
the key points that need to be made for our stand, which we think is fairly strong. in this whole thing. So, all right, and that's all I have, Mr.
That's all
Chairman.
you have? Does the board members have any matters they'd like to bring up this?
Well,
today?
just questioning again about any information forthcoming about working on solving the parking over at Beachside.
Well, no, Jim knows probably more than I.
Yes, ma'am. I've met with the Chamber of Commerce, Indian River County Chamber of Commerce, and also the Oceanside Business Association at various times. And we have determined one of the things we're going to start doing October the 4th is enforcing the parking, 2-hour parking on Saturdays. We have not done that, or anybody can ever remember that we've done it. And so that's going to be a new experience for us, but we're going to try to do that in
That's
order
the
to keep
street
the coast.
parking?
Yes,
Yeah.
anything that's posted to 2 hours that we have, because if you look at the signs, it says 2-hour parking, and it doesn't put Monday through Friday or anything like that on it. So it is open for a 7-day a week, but we're just going to really do it. According to some of the merchants that we've talked to, Saturdays appear to be our worst days, and so we will be doing it 6 days a week.
I noticed you were doing some restriping on Ocean Drive, but it looked like you were just painting over the old stripes. Were you doing any respacing?
We're actually doing, we're doing small respacing. I think we might get a space in there, but no, we did not resurface any of the parking area there. We just did the traffic lanes, and we are trying to dress it up as much as we could.
I was talking about the restriping.
Yeah,
And the restriping is part of that effort.
Had they really taken the time to look into see if they could get some of the spaces were exceptionally large?
And I think there's going to be 1 or 2 spaces. It's
to
not
pick up a couple.
Yeah,
well, I thought they maybe
but
do
it's
better
not,
than that.
No,
it's not significant.
One of the comments that I've heard a couple people have addressed me with it, they said as much as they'd like to see a guarded beach at straight ahead at the end of 60 there at Humston, Sexton, that's what I knew it was, at Sexton, that would exacerbate the parking problem if we did, because that's the tightest area during almost all the time. And if we,
Well, that's one of the ironic parts of this discussion, because everybody was on, we needed a new lifeguard station and all this at Sexton Plaza. Now, all of a sudden, exactly what you're saying is what we're hearing from the merchants and from some of the businesses down there. And we're going to put some signs up at A1A and Beachland that says guarded beaches, and we'll have arrows pointing north and south. And if you go south, we're going to have a sign on 17th that says guarded beach going towards South Beach. And that appears to be one of the issues, is that we have beachgoers going to Sexton and taking up all the parking spaces. The other thing we have at Sexton is where we're starting to have, for example, the Lifeguards Association had that boogie board or some type of activity there. And
skimboard,
and started drawing a lot more activities. Now they have another one coming up, but they're doing it on South Beach next. The unfortunate part, in Central Beach or Sexton Plaza, you have sponsors of that type of activities, and so going down to South Beach, your sponsorship sort of wanes a little bit, because the sponsors not only give financial, but they expect to have customers stop in at their stores. So we have a little bit of a challenge there, but the Chamber and myself and the OBA are still talking about what other measures we could impose to try to free up some of the parking. We've been getting input, obviously, from the businesses. They've been very free with that information. And it appears that we have, again, conflicting issues with what the merchants want, because it's a little different if you're a clothing shop versus a restaurant versus a hotel. One of the challenges are the employees parking. And so we're going to try to see what we can do to address that. That involves some expenditures, and so we have a minor issue that we have to get across.
but the employee parking is totally within the control of the merchants there if they wish to really get enforcing it. If they, as a group, totally enforce that, they can do whatever they want to. There is a remedy to that. They have control of that in some respect.
That is correct. What we have offered is that you could park at Riverside Park. We have that grassed area that would not infringe on anything 99% of the time, and that we would offer that up. We also have plenty of parking on South Beach. We have the parking lot that is on the west side of Beachland there, or the Ocean Drive, which typically doesn't fill up. So we have that. But if you put it in perspective, some of those hotels have as many as 125 employees. And it's now they're rotating employees,
Right.
so it's not 125 that come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. And so when we started talking about putting cars down there, the impact would really not be that great, the getting people to and from the parking area. Some of the concerns that have been voiced is if you have an employee and let's say they have a sick child at home and it shows up at 7 o'clock in the evening, they have no way of transportation. But again, going back, the employer in some cases could have a shuttle bus or whatever it takes to make that work. So the unfortunate part, I guess, and I'm just trying to point out some of the conflicting issues that we have, is, for example, hotels have plenty of parking for their tenants. Their employees are the ones that are left out. So from their perspective, they're not sure they have a problem. If you are the small merchant and you have the clothing store or shelves and things where you're counting on those spaces in front of your business, and in fact you don't have any employees, or you may have one or two, then your parking is right up front and personal because it's right in front of your store. And so you've got to get the people who have a perception, some, not all. I don't want to categorize everybody in the same bucket, but if you're a major employer down there and you have plenty of parking for your tenants or your customers and your employees are having an issue, do you have a parking problem? And that's sort of where we're sort of struggling with right now.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Jim, a couple of things. I guess even the lifeguards have taken into consideration the problem in Section Plaza and backed off that a little bit. But the other thing is, can you go over the status of the Mulligan's appeal?
Yes, the Mulligan's appeal will go in front of the City Council on the 26th, is it?
22nd.
20 what?
I think it's 22nd, isn't it?
22nd. Yeah, October anyway, that goes on that appeal. The issue really is coming down to what is the appeal going to go against. Parking, as you all experienced, was the main thing, and everybody kept talking about parking. And in the groups that I have talked to and told everybody that will listen, parking is really not part of that decision making. We have thought the process out. We've looked at the vision plan and all the planning that goes on, and we wanted to encourage outdoor seating. And exactly what we have done is we've encouraged outdoor seating by saying there is no parking requirement. And Mark, to answer your question, I don't know if there's some other aspect that we haven't been exposed to that's going to be part of that discussion, but that, as I understand, is going to be the issue. It also will be an issue for people to get up and talk, as they have here, about the parking concerns that are there. And
late meeting.
Pardon?
Late meeting.
Late meeting. Well, yeah, we're getting, but it's one of those issues that it's very difficult to solve a problem when you have limited space. And I will say that I'm of the theory, and I keep saying that parking issues is commerce, and it's nice to have the concerns that we have. And it's interesting the varying degree of concerns that we have up and down Ocean Drive, because you get down toward Hummelson Park and the parking issue is not as great, or you don't have people down there, but you don't have as many single merchants as you do right in the center, in the core of Central Beach. And so if you go down to Citrus Grill as an example and say, do you have a parking problem? They don't have a parking problem. Now, you get up toward Bobby's end, and when they start roping off all the parking spaces behind the real estate companies and Wells Fargo and all that, then he has a parking problem. And so that's it's just the degree of where the issues are.
Sure. Thank you.
Well, the South Beach idea, I've been here a number of years now, And the South Beach parking areas, I have never, even on the heaviest holiday, ever saw the secondary parking lot full. I really haven't. It may have been, but I never saw it. And I think a lot of people, that's really our best beach, in my opinion, the best beach we have in the city, or even in this county, probably. And if we could have more people focus on that, I think that's a very intelligent way to approach part of the problem. With the difference between the beachgoers will have just as good of an experience, maybe even better, and the merchants will be positive them. So I think that you may have a right track there when the signs and things may be a part of the solution. I didn't think of that, but I think that's a very progressive idea in a way.
Yeah, we need more signs.
No, I didn't necessarily put more sign, but you do need. If a sign works, it's one thing. If a sign's just there for a sign, that's something else.
And that really came from a lot of the merchants and talking about what was driving the traffic to that core region and the fact that it's a beach. And again, another conflicting issue here is you have, well, I don't care if anybody goes to the beach or not. I want merchants versus the places that serve food and beverage now on the beach. Says, well, I want beachgoers because they're part of my customer base. And so you have that type of issue going on as well. So it's a very interesting dynamic as to who you talk to and trying to resolve it. But you're right, South Beach is our largest beach, which is unbelievable that it's really that large, that nice, and has all the parking in the world, and it happens to be in the area where we don't have a lot of restaurants that are on the beach. And I guess that's one of the challenges. And we even lost our hot dog stand here recently, so it's diminished in
our money
in popularity.
At Sexton there, when you enter that area, a lot of the beachgoers there, a lot of them you see them carrying their chairs and things, so they're staying right behind Cardinal Drive someplace in some rental units or what have you. They're not the parking problem because they walk and they're carrying their chairs and things to the beach.
That is right. And really the hotel patrons are not the parking problem.
They've already got their stuff.
They
foot
stay
traffic,
there.
yeah.
And so you have the conflict between the locals who are beachgoers and the employees in the general area, and that's really those are the two clients that create the issue. But I do admit, I mean, there are some people that stay, for example, at the Vero Beach Hotel and Spa. They'll get in their car and drive down to the Polo Grill, as an example. I mean, walking 2 blocks is an issue to some people. Okay. And so we do see some of that traffic movement, but I don't think that's the big impact. But one of my concerns on this, starting the citations on Saturday, is I think we're going to start hitting a lot of our locals. Those are the people who are the beachgoers. You come from the mainland, you drive over there. Well, you don't even have to come from the mainland. Mark, where you live, I'm sure people drive to the beach as opposed to walk. And so those are the folks who are going to sort of get caught in the web. But if, in fact, they know that South Beach is there, it just seems to me like we could attract more local people to South Beach and less to, for example, Sexton Plaza. But we're going through that. The other little challenge that we have, and it was brought out in several of our meetings, the demographics of the people who are visiting Ocean Drive anymore is changing. They're becoming younger. I mean, if you go to, for example, at the Blue Star after hours when they have the band on the top, that's not the folks that, Zero Vero thing. And if you look at those folks that were participating in the Lifeguard Association fundraisers, that's not your older generation either. So you see a lot of that coming in. And so some of our standard existing merchants who have been there for many years, who have, for example, the Johns Island clientele, they're not experiencing some of the growth in business activity that all the others or many of the others are experiencing.
The new bridal shop.
Yeah, you never know when that might kick in because we do have the destination weddings, and I've been to more weddings since I've lived in Vero Beach than any time in my life because I go up for happy hour at the Vero Beach Hotel and Spa, and it seems like any Saturday or Sunday there's somebody getting married up there.
But and I think also our parking problems, when you compare them to every other beach town that I can possibly think of, they're just a percentage of the problem they have. And some of the sterile beaches you find on the West Coast, where you have to drive for 20 minutes till you can find a spot, no matter where it is, just so you can, and then you pay a lot of money to stay there. And then, in addition to that, you have to walk a long way, and there's no restaurant nearby to get to, or to even go get a sandwich or something. So I think we have the best of all those conditions here. It's just how we manage and how effective we can be with that, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take diligence on the merchants' part and on the locals and the people that want to see us be a wonderful community. It's going to take that kind of effort for us to make this work, because if not, we're going to find somebody gets burned and it's going to hurt the city.
It is. One of the concerns, and this is a concern that I have that has been brought up in some of our discussions, is once that traffic starts going into the residential areas, that's when we're really going to have major conflicts. And if we can address it before we get into that situation, it's going to be much better. Fortunately, I guess, in our neighborhoods, we really don't have very many places to park. You'd be actually parking in someone's front yard, which is something that can be taken care of. But if it starts encroaching into that area, and I'm surprised, to be honest with you, I'm surprised that it hasn't at this point. But for some reason, since I've been here, I've never gotten a call from a residential area that we had beachgoers parking in their neighborhood.
Well, we have a little bit of a problem on Riamar Drive, because there's only 5 spaces at the access there. So sometimes people will park on Riamar on the side, and most of the homeowners don't really care that much about it. But some have put up no parking signs.
Yeah, and we've opened up that new one. What's that new access going next to the condos down there? That's not Riamar, is it?
No.
Flame Vine. And I don't think there's any parking.
There's no parking. It's all pedestrian.
It's all pedestrian, yeah. But we have a little parking lot at the end of Riamar there. It's 5 spots. Yeah. I've seen people illegally parking there all the time. And people go in there with golf carts, too, and they park those in there on the grass. But, that's not a big problem. Those are usually just people in the neighborhood. They don't even walk next door. They get in their golf cart and drive next door. One of the things, I read the minutes. I wasn't at the 5-hour meeting. Thank you very much for having it when I wasn't here. But it seems to me the employee is the issue. There are employees that are parking in a lot of places and if they can be applied on site, like a hotel, they have enough parking for their, for the people that are their customers plus their employees. That's one thing. But where you have employees for, a number of these places, and no place, and they take up spaces, seem to be that would be a priority to try to come up with working with the Oceanside Association to come up with some way of encouraging or requiring employees to park someplace other than public parking spaces.
That we recognize that as one of our real issues, and that is, again, it's a 2-pronged attack. The beachgoers are one challenge, and then the employees. But you take a couple of those big hotels. You're talking about 300 parking spaces gone in any given 24-hour period.
Right.
We have one parking garage on Ocean Drive. The owner of that property, have we ever had much communication with him asking if there was availability because a lot of times I believe that building is quite empty, and it has some wonderful parking spaces. They're undercover. There's a lot of positives to that. Is there any possibility of some kind of consideration going back and forth between the city and that individual to make that work?
There's been multiple contacts, not only the city, but also merchants. For example, I know Driftwood has made contact with them and said, hey, we'll rent spaces from you for the weekend, because that's their big demand.
See, yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
And the individual's not interested in
I understand. That's the perfect right to do that.
In our case, what we've offered, and not only to them, but others up and down through there, is if you'll rent the spaces to the parking lots to the city, let's say for $1 a year, we assume we'll have it covered under our insurance, and we'll be operating it as a city property. Then we assume a lot of that. And but no one's ready to let go of any of their spaces. Now, there are instances where some of the merchants have signed agreements, especially up toward the Vero Beach Hotel and Spa, have signed agreements with properties across the street for evening parking and those type of things. So there are some of
Cooperation
those.
type things?
Pardon?
Cooperation type things?
Cooperation agreements.
Yeah. For valet parking, yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, sure.
I would like to bring up my semi-annual discussion about political signs and the enforcement thereof, and Tim loves this. But I was going to write him a little enforcement manual that says, basically, if you see a Gabriel Rothblatt sign, it's illegal. And if you see other signs near a Gabriel Rothblatt sign, they're probably illegal too. And I've got three Kramer signs on the corner lot by my house.
Well,
that's just to aggravate me.
I know, and Rothblatt signs have aggravated the staff. We've picked up a ton of them. And,
well, there's still 20 of them on. If you go out Aviation Boulevard, there's 20 of them on city property.
Well, if they're on city property, they should go after. I'll tell the staff. They're
private
supposed to be out
property,
there. We do the best we can. Okay.
There are
it's
no
like
legal
mushrooms.
Rothblatt signs in the city or the county.
But as asking Mr. Rothblatt, do you understand that you're responsible? Oh, that's my pack. Well, his pack's his mom and dad.
Right.
So.
No, he has two moms.
He's got two moms. But anyway, no, we're doing the best we can. It's that political season trying to pick up all these signs. You know, and when they're close to being legal, we kind of let them go. Or we would spend all our time going after signs. And,
It'll be over on the 5th, right? About the 5th of the month. So.
I seriously think at some point, and Peggy's going to glare at me like you do, but we need to have some kind of a fine or a bounty or something when people violate our regulations. We're certainly loose enough. I mean, God knows, remember we said we could have a sign for every issue and every candidate on any yard and 2 on corner yards?
well, we can fine them $50 a sign.
Well, let's do it.
And we've threatened that on a couple of the candidates, which, to be honest with you,
You have to be consistent. You have to do
Yeah,
it with
we
all
have
the
to be
candidates. You can't
consistent,
just
and
do
we
it on
try
one
Might
or
be a
two.
big moneymaker to pay for the parking enforcement on Saturday.
but I mean,
Riots at City Hall.
Well, I don't know how
I
there could
agree.
be
It
any
takes away
riots
from-
when
it
you got
takes-
them on the airport and the water treatment
well, they should
plant.
not be there. And
well,
you know, if they're
they
on
are,
city
and they have
property, if
been
they're on,
for weeks.
If they're on city property, we need city employees to be picking them up. And Jim and I, you know, department heads, we're not always out everywhere, but if a city employee sees them on them, you take them out.
Does that
You know,
include
that's
the
as
right of
simple as
ways?
that.
Does that include the
They're not supposed to be on any right.
along the sides of the road? There's a right of way there. Many of these signs are within that right of way.
No,
Even if
can't be
they
in-
on somebody's property, they're within
Well,
the
when they're
within the city-owned right of way.
Yeah, I mean we're
they're everywhere.
we're after on the right of way on some of the residential properties. It's a little hard, you know.
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah, I know.
You know, so we do the best we
They're
can.
on abandoned lots. They're on property
They can be on
lines, so
abandoned
they're-
lots.
Yeah, the lot
Only
owner,
with
the lot
permission.
owner can give permission.
We don't
Only with permission.
look. We can't. We're not going out. That's
Yeah.
that's a
There's
that
a
gets into
pattern.
some First Amendment issues. We're
Agreed.
assuming they're there on their property. If there's a problem, we go after or talk to the property owner. Okay, so we don't require them. They should have their the agreement of the property owner. But you know, for us to follow up and all that.
By the time you do the research on that with
Yeah.
one individual
The
lot owner,
election's
you find
over.
a name to yeah. My point is,
Yeah.
it's almost you put up with it, and it sure takes away from the integrity of our community. But it's a part of the American way to put these signs
Well,
in.
and it takes-
Lately, it's. I don't think much we can do, but you can fight it all you want, but it's over. And then it doesn't come back. The fight doesn't come back to the following election, and it's
I can
all over
tell-
again.
I can tell you, every candidate we give to the to the election office and to the candidates, we give them a handout, tells them exactly where to put these signs.
That's right, and it's to what you're talking about, Mr. Chairman, is to the great detriment of the people who follow the rules.
I agree with that. I
I-
totally agree with you there, Mark. I will
Then
agree
don't
with that.
say let them do whatever they want.
But it's like
It'll be over in
I'm
a
asking:
month.
is it worth our employees in the city's time and effort to follow
did
up
have
on
a
this for
question.
something they can't? They'll eventually lead you no place.
frankly, I'm amazed at how few signs there are.
Yeah,
I
I'm.
was
Hey,
gonna
go out in the
say-
county.
Much worse other places.
I think it's much better since you all passed that temporary sign ordinance.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of people tell me that it's not as cluttered, it's not as bad as it was. So I
True.
pat yourselves on the back. I mean, there's a lot going on right now with silly season, but it's better than it was.
In Northern Virginia, you
3
couldn't
years
see
ago.
the grass in places for the signs that were along the right of ways.
It used to be like that here.
You go on A1A, there's no signs. You go in and out of ours, a few people have
You all
signs.
did a great job
There's
on that
no
temporary
signs.
sign ordinance, and I'm really
Yeah, that's
proud
what I
that we
mean.
got it
It
passed.
came back.
But we have a few people that are particularly
Oh, no,
violators.
and- and we just
there's
talked
one
about
strongest
People don't
violator
care.
out there, and we can see the evidence of
There
that.
was a
okay?
judge. There was a school board candidate. It just went everywhere.
Yeah, well, we went after that. We didn't.
I can smell an illegal sign. I guess your people can't.
So can Tim.
Yes, they can. I mean,
Tim picks up signs.
I
every
pick up
place
signs
he
of my own.
goes.
I mean, you can see all the signs I pick up,
Yeah.
you know,
He's
on
incredible.
a weekend or some other time, you know, I'm out there.
Or
so.
even at lunch from City Hall to your house and back. I'll come back and I'll see Tim on the side of the road wristing one out and stick it in the back of his car.
Deputize us.
And you know, I want you to know it really galls me probably almost as much as you, Bart.
Yeah, you're doing
To be
it.
honest.
As I gall
it
you
really
or as I'm
irritates me.
galled?
It really, I mean, to see that when you're right, other people are playing by the rules, and we have these people who don't give a rip, you know. So
Any additional discussion? If not, would like
One
to
in
move
front of
along with
Corey's.
would like to move along with any additional board member matters.
None here.
Okay.
I'm ready to resign.
Yep. No, you.
You have anything to bring
I
up?
have one question, and it's probably administratively handled. Since we were on bank issues, I had a question about the new National Bank of Commerce branch at 2145 East Indian River Boulevard. There's a drive-in teller window being constructed in the alleyway.
right.
That alleyway, as I recall, in the past had both parking and served as a drive.
Well, that's all been taken care of. That's all approved.
Okay,
Yeah, we went through the Public Works, and the reason you didn't see that bank is
That's
because
the question
it's
I had.
part of a big project. Believe it or not, all that outside the modern one, all that going back into the all those. I forgot who's the Schlitt
Property.
and all that. It's all under one
Pulaski.
development order. That's why.
okay.
Okay, it's
Yes.
different than a single project. I mean, we discussed before whether this should have come before you. I mean, I could have made the call that it was a decrease in traffic, therefore, even though it was that. But I also got clobbered when I did that with Panera. So, you know, but in this case, it was clearly within that project, and that's how it was.
And where is this project being developed?
It's right there where the old. Remember the old the bookstore
Yeah,
where
right.
they moved. It's that
Yeah.
building.
Okay.
Specifically, I had concern about the traffic moving past SunTrust into the old Modern Age, which is now a new shopping center. I had concern about that, safety and the width of that driveway.
Yeah,
But that's all been taken.
our public works people review those
Good.
things. Yeah,
Those
I
two
want
are
you to-
connecting. They're legally connecting lots right there.
Yes,
as
they
I
are.
can tell. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I thought.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tim.
you're welcome.
Richard, anything else?
No.
Anybody else have anything else? With that in mind, I'd like to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you.